Have you ever seen a Hollywood star go from golden darling to near outcast almost overnight? That's exactly what's happening with Blake Lively right now. Once adored for her elegance, talent, and carefully polished public image, Blake is suddenly at the center of one of Hollywood's most explosive legal battles, and it's changing how fans, critics, and even her closest allies see her. It all began with a lawsuit. Blake Lively shocked the industry when she filed a massive $250 million claim against actor-director Justin Baldoni. Her accusations were bold, painting him in the darkest of lights and immediately capturing the attention of tabloids, social media, and mainstream outlets. With her Hollywood status and a reputation for grace and professionalism, many assumed she would have the upper hand. At first, the press seemed ready to crown her the victim, while Justin looked destined to buckle under the weight of her star power. But then the cracks began to show. People started to question the timing of the lawsuit. Why now? Why such an extreme amount of money? And why were some of the accusations not lining up with behind-the-scenes accounts? Insiders whispered that Blake might have been trying to control the narrative, not just in court, but in the media. Reports surfaced that her team had approached major outlets like the New York Times before filing, pushing a story that painted Justin as the villain. The strategy looked smart at first, until it started to backfire. Justin Baldoni refused to be steamrolled. Instead of folding, he fought back harder than anyone expected. In a shocking twist, he countersued Blake for an eye-popping $400 million, accusing her of defamation and malicious intent. That single move flipped the script completely. Suddenly, Blake wasn't the one holding all the cards. She was on the defensive. And Justin came armed with evidence. His legal team unveiled text messages, emails, and even behind-the-scenes video clips that painted a drastically different story than the one Blake had told. Moments she labeled harassment appeared in context to be mutual jokes, sometimes even initiated by her. Conversations she described as uncomfortable were shown in a light that suggested laughter and complicity. These revelations struck directly at her credibility, and fans began asking, had Blake exaggerated or even fabricated parts of her case? The court wasn't making things easy for her either. Judges consistently denied her team's attempts to sidestep or dismiss Justin's countersuit. In one strategic move, Justin's lawyers had both cases merged into one massive, all-encompassing legal showdown. That meant there was no simple exit. Neither side could walk away without consequences. Meanwhile, the public spectacle only grew. Headlines erupted with every new filing, fans debated fiercely online, and Hollywood insiders whispered about how damaging this was becoming to Blake's once spotless image. Ryan Reynolds, usually quick with witty public remarks, suddenly went quiet. Friends and peers who might have defended her before stayed silent, leaving Blake increasingly isolated in the storm. And then came the harshest revelation of all. Blake, critics claimed, hadn't even read the book her lawsuit centered around, a detail that made her look careless, unprepared, and out of touch. What once seemed like a flawless case of a star standing up for herself now looked like a miscalculated move spiraling wildly out of control. Justin's countersuit didn't just defend him, it went on the offensive. By presenting himself as the one who had been wrongly targeted, he shifted public sympathy onto his side. His calm but firm stance contrasted sharply with the narrative of Blake trying to weaponize her fame and the press against him. And that's when the conversation shifted entirely. What began as a story about Blake fighting for justice had transformed into one about power, manipulation, and reputation. Was Blake using her Hollywood influence to crush someone she saw as a threat? Or was she genuinely a victim caught in a brutal PR war gone wrong? The consequences are bigger than just this lawsuit. Blake's once untouchable career is now hanging by a thread. Every movie offer, every endorsement, every red carpet appearance will be viewed through the lens of this scandal. Hollywood thrives on drama, but it also punishes stars who can't maintain their image. For the first time in her career, Blake Lively is learning that being a golden girl doesn't protect you forever. As this high-stakes battle continues, one thing is clear. Justin Baldoni has stunned Hollywood by refusing to back down, and Blake Lively's legacy may never be the same. From the very beginning, the courtroom made one thing clear. This was not going to be a celebrity pity party. Blake Lively, despite her star power, wasn't going to get special treatment. And that reality hit her hard when she tried to silence Justin Baldoni with a gag order. Her attempt to keep damaging details out of the spotlight was swiftly denied. Overnight, the floodgates opened, and with them, a tidal wave of scandal, evidence, and controversy that would shake her career to its core. At first, Blake's status as Hollywood's golden girl seemed unshakable. She had the looks, the reputation, and the fan base. But in Hollywood, loyalty can be as fleeting as a trending hashtag. When Justin's evidence, text messages, emails, and behind-the-scenes footage went public, it contradicted Blake's story in ways that were impossible to ignore. Suddenly, her allies began to disappear. Scarlett Johansson stayed silent. Taylor Swift, once considered one of Blake's strongest supporters, made no comment. Even her broader network of celebrity friends, the usual A-list circle that rallies around stars in crisis, fell quiet. Their silence wasn't neutral. It was a loud, damning signal that Blake was no longer the safe bet she once had been. If the silence of her friends was damaging, the shift in media coverage was catastrophic. Outlets like the New York Times, which had initially painted Justin Baldoni as the villain, suddenly reversed course. Journalists who once championed Blake's case began retracting or softening their narratives. As the new evidence spread, sympathy evaporated. Hollywood wasn't just distancing itself. It was treating her like a liability. Producers whispered about her being unhireable if she lost. Studios feared financial fallout. Agents hesitated to take her calls. And then came the fans. Early on, the public had rallied behind Blake. She was glamorous, beloved, and easy to root for. But when Ryan Reynolds, her husband and usually her fiercest defender, tried to joke about the lawsuit on Saturday Night Live, the tone shifted. What was supposed to be a lighthearted moment came off as cold, dismissive, and even mocking. Social media exploded with outrage. If Blake was truly a victim, why was her own husband turning her battle into a punchline? Instead of protecting her, Ryan's attempt at humor made the entire situation look more like a PR stunt than a fight for justice. The backlash was relentless. Memes circulated. Hashtags trended. Suddenly, both Blake and Ryan's reputations were under attack. Far from diffusing the scandal, Ryan's actions only intensified the outrage. The breaking point came when depositions revealed contradictions in Blake's own statements. Under pressure from Justin's attorney, Brian Friedman, her carefully crafted story began to unravel. Emails and messages showed a friendlier, even joking dynamic with Justin that clashed with her accusations. One particularly damning piece of evidence revealed that Blake had laughed at an inside joke she later claimed caused her discomfort. Worse still, she had texted Justin later, making light of it herself. That single revelation was a credibility meltdown. Fans who once admired her elegance and philanthropy now questioned whether she had weaponized her platform for personal gain. Was she manipulating public sympathy to destroy Justin's career? The very idea left many feeling betrayed. And the fallout didn't stop at public perception. Financial consequences loomed large. Justin's $400 million countersuit meant that if Blake's claims were proven false, she could face not only humiliation, but also financial ruin. Studios and investors, always cautious about risk, began treating her like a ticking time bomb. Even if she reached a settlement, the damage to her reputation seemed irreversible. In Hollywood, image is everything. And right now, Blake Lively's once pristine image is in tatters. What started as a lawsuit meant to protect her has spiraled into a full-blown disaster that could cost her career, her credibility, and her carefully built legacy. For Blake, the red carpets have turned into courtroom floors. And the question now isn't whether she'll win or lose, it's whether her career can survive it all. Hollywood has always been a place of glittering lights, red carpet dreams, and billion-dollar franchises. But behind the glossy magazine covers and glamorous photo shoots lies a darker truth. A truth of scandals, lawsuits, and reputations that can be destroyed in a single news cycle. Right now, no one embodies that brutal reality more than Blake Lively, once celebrated as Hollywood's golden girl. The face of fashion houses, the darling of Gossip Girl fame, and the enviable half of one of Hollywood's most beloved power couples with Ryan Reynolds. Blake has now found herself at the center of one of the most explosive scandals the entertainment industry has seen in years. This isn't just a celebrity feud or some petty Hollywood drama. This is a full-scale public meltdown unfolding before millions of eyes, with courtroom battles, leaked receipts, shredded reputations, and career-ending consequences. What started as Blake filing a massive $250 million lawsuit against director and co-star Justin Baldoni has spiraled completely out of control, morphing into a cultural flashpoint about power, image, and manipulation in Tinseltown. And here's the thing. This isn't a simple he said, she said. Every detail is amplified by social media. Every tweet, every facial expression, every awkward interview clip is pulled apart by fans and critics, memed into oblivion, and shared across TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. What once could have been handled behind closed doors has now become an international spectacle. And the cracks in Blake's carefully crafted image are widening with each passing day. At the beginning, some fans sympathized with her. After all, Blake Lively has spent years cultivating the persona of the sweet, classy star who manages to balance her career with motherhood, philanthropy, and the role of Ryan Reynolds' supportive wife. She was seen as approachable yet glamorous, someone who could sell a lifestyle as much as she sold a movie ticket. But as evidence began surfacing, receipts that contradicted her claims, behind-the-scenes stories that painted her as a diva, and testimonies from people who worked closely with her, the sympathy began to erode. Suddenly, what looked like a brave stand for justice started to feel like a calculated power move gone horribly wrong. Social media, unforgiving and relentless, took over. Memes began flooding timelines. Clips of Blake allegedly throwing tantrums at co-stars. Edited mashups comparing her behavior to Amber Heard's courtroom drama. And endless commentary questioning whether her lawsuit was about justice or just another Hollywood ego trip disguised as victimhood. Think about it. We live in an age where perception is everything. In Hollywood, you can survive box office bombs. You can even survive personal scandals. But what you cannot survive is the complete collapse of your image in the public eye. And that's exactly what Blake is facing right now. Her $250 million lawsuit, which she may have believed would either end in a swift victory or force Justin Baldoni into a quiet settlement, has instead triggered a counterattack so strong that it threatens everything she has built, not just her career, not just her public image, but her financial empire, her brand partnerships, and even the stability of her marriage's professional empire with Ryan Reynolds. Now, let's pause for a second and talk about Ryan Reynolds. He's one of the most bankable stars in Hollywood, beloved for his wit, charm, and ability to balance blockbuster success with relatable humor. His career trajectory has been nearly flawless. But scandals don't exist in isolation when you're married to another superstar. Suddenly, Ryan is also in the crosshairs. Every brand deal, every endorsement, every carefully curated image of the perfect Hollywood couple is under review. And the possibility of the couple being forced to pay out hundreds of millions of dollars if they lose in court is terrifying even for two people worth a combined $400 million. Make no mistake, $400 million sounds untouchable. But in the world of Hollywood investments, production companies, and fragile brand endorsements, that number can shrink fast. If companies start seeing Blake and Ryan as a liability, if partners start pulling out, if future projects get canceled due to reputational risk, the fallout will be astronomical. We've seen it before. Stars who seemed untouchable suddenly lose everything when public perception flips. And the perception right now? It's brutal. Mainstream outlets that once gushed over Blake's beauty and talent are now writing takedown pieces. Even the New York Times, which once tried to rehabilitate her image with a sympathetic profile, has been forced to retreat as Justin Baldoni's camp leaks receipts that tell a very different story. Clips have surfaced of Blake allegedly humiliating reporters, body-shaming women on live TV, throwing tantrums over billing credits with co-star Anna Kendrick, and manipulating cast members back in her Gossip Girl days. The timeline of this scandal is damning. From early career mean girl behavior to more recent diva demands on film sets, the pattern is painting a picture that many fans can no longer ignore. And then, of course, there's the Amber Heard comparison. When Megyn Kelly, a high-profile media figure, outright labeled Blake a manipulator and fraud, even comparing her directly to Amber Heard, the narrative shifted permanently. Suddenly, Blake wasn't just fighting Justin Baldoni in court. She was fighting public opinion, memes, and comparisons to one of the most notorious celebrity scandals in recent history. And what makes this even more devastating is the silence. Where are Blake's friends? Where are her Gossip Girl co-stars? Where are her Hollywood allies? The silence is deafening. Not a single major co-star has come forward to defend her. Not one. And in Hollywood, silence often says more than words ever could. Now, let's talk about Justin Baldoni. Before this lawsuit, he was known as a charming actor and director, best recognized for Jane the Virgin and his reputation for thoughtful, heartfelt projects. But the way he and his team have handled this scandal has elevated him to a whole new level of credibility. Methodical, calm, and armed with receipts, Justin has been dismantling Blake's claims one by one. Every new leak, every piece of testimony, every strategic legal maneuver has only strengthened his position. And let's not forget, Hollywood is watching. Studios are always looking for the next big thing, the next reliable talent who can deliver without bringing chaos to a production. While Blake's reputation is crumbling, Justin's is skyrocketing. He's emerging not just as someone who survived a celebrity lawsuit, but as someone who stood firm, fought back, and won the court of public opinion. But here's the kicker. This isn't just about two celebrities fighting. This case has the potential to set legal precedent. If Blake loses, and if she and Ryan are forced to pay out massive damages for defamation, studios and production companies may start rewriting contracts, inserting new clauses to protect themselves from stars who bring lawsuits that spiral into public disasters. Hollywood could be permanently changed because of this scandal. And yet, as dramatic as this all sounds, the courtroom battle is far from over. Witnesses haven't all testified yet. More evidence could surface at any moment. New bombshells are expected with every hearing. And every time Blake's legal team stumbles, the public perception tilts even further against her. Each tweet, each Instagram post, each awkward red carpet moment gets dissected by millions of fans, with critics ready to pounce on every inconsistency. Meanwhile, Ryan Reynolds' decision to joke about the lawsuit on platforms like Saturday Night Live has backfired spectacularly. What he may have intended as lighthearted humor to diffuse tension has instead made people question whether he's trivializing serious allegations. The backlash has been swift, with debates raging about accountability, empathy, and whether Ryan's comedic instincts have finally misfired in a way that could cost him dearly. Together, Blake and Ryan are now navigating one of the most precarious moments of their careers. The Hollywood power couple brand they once represented has been replaced by an image of arrogance, fragility, and chaos. And in an industry that values stability and reliability above all, that's deadly. But the most important question remains, can Blake recover? Is there any way to salvage her reputation, rebuild her credibility, and return to the career she once had? Or is this truly the end of the Golden Girl era? Because let's face it, in Hollywood, comebacks are rare when the fall is this steep and this public. Some stars have managed it. Robert Downey Jr. turned a reputation as a troubled actor into the role of Iron Man, reshaping his career. But for every comeback story, there are countless others who never recovered. And Blake's situation is unique. This isn't about personal struggles or addiction. This is about character, integrity, and truth. When the public decides you're manipulative, dishonest, and selfish, it's nearly impossible to flip that script. At this point, Blake's legal battle with Justin Baldoni is no longer just about whether she wins or loses in court. It's about whether Hollywood, her fans, and the broader public will ever look at her the same way again. And right now, all signs point to a devastating reality. Her career may never recover. Because in Hollywood, the glitter fades fast. Fame is fragile,